What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another stream. Well, obviously the third stream we've done like this, another Lions talk. We'll wait for we'll wait for everybody to get in here because I know it takes a couple minutes for people to show up, takes a couple minutes for people to get around to the stream. So if you are in here, we'll start in just a couple of minutes and get into the questions and the Lions talk like we usually do on these kinds of streams. But I mean, why? I feel like every time I go live or every time I set up a live stream, something big happens with the Lions. Obviously, we're going live today, and yesterday, as you can see on the screen, Matt Stafford was traded. The last week, we were going live for a stream, and the announcement came out that Stafford was getting traded, and Anthony Lynn was hired, and John Dorsey was hired. So, and the week before that, Dan Campbell was hired when we went on a live stream. So, I mean, I feel like maybe I'm just bad luck. Maybe I'm just cursed for the Detroit Lions, or maybe they're just like giving me something to talk about. Maybe they know my schedule and they're like, yeah, well, this could be fun. Let's give him a talking point. Let's give right or wrong something interesting to talk about. But I mean, it seems really coincidental that just every time we go live, every time something happens on the channel, and every time we're ready to talk about something, a big news happens, and it's a weird one, man. I don't know what to do about that. And people don't really seem to be coming. I don't know if I bored them last time. I don't know what's going on. We got 0 people in the stream right now, which is very disappointing. That's, unfortunate. Oh, we're jumping to 2. That's not bad. All right. Well, obviously, as people start to come in, please leave your comments. Please leave questions out in the comments below so we can start talking about it. But I guess I'll start with the whole Stafford thing as people start to roll in and as people start to hop onto the stream. We're in here, fam. I mean, I only see 2 people right now, but hey, if you guys want to start commenting, going at it, I'd be very appreciative. It'd be fun. But the whole Stafford thing, it's an interesting situation for sure. Obviously, as you can see on the screen, Matt Stafford was traded to the Los Angeles Rams for 2 first rounders, a third rounder this year, and Jared Goff, the quarterback. So I mean, I think the Lions won this trade personally. I think they did a very good job getting good value out of Stafford. A lot of people thought, oh, Stafford might not even be worth a first. Stafford at the very most is worth a first and maybe a little bit more. But I mean, we got 2 first-round picks, a third-round pick, and a competent quarterback, I think. I don't think Jared Goff is anything special. I don't think he's anything incredible, but I do think Jared Goff is at least a serviceable quarterback. Obviously, former number 1 overall pick, a guy that, was very hyped up coming out of college, of course, going number 1 to the Rams. I mean, I don't think Jared Goff is anywhere near as talented as Stafford is, and I don't think Jared Goff will ever get there likely. But I think this is a very good trade for the Detroit Lions. Like personally, I might be slightly biased towards it, but I think the Lions got real good value out of a quarterback that didn't want to be here. I mean, you think about it, and I know people are all upset about the whole Jared Goff thing, but you look at it, right? The Lions are in a better situation now than they were yesterday at this time. And at the end of the day, that's all you could ask for. I mean, at the end of the day, you took a quarterback that didn't want to be here anymore, a quarterback that when your coaching staff, when your regime got here, they were likely thinking they had a stable quarterback situation. They had somebody that they could rely upon. You go from that to a guy that doesn't want to be here anymore in Matt Stafford. And you go from that and the uncertainty at quarterback, you go from you have to draft a quarterback at number 7 to getting rid of that guy who wasn't going to be here anyway to get 2 first-round picks, a third-round pick, and a serviceable quarterback. Now, Looney Tunes says, I am just not a fan of Goff coming with the trade, mostly because of his contract, since people are pointing that out. Yeah, that's the one thing I don't like about Jared Goff is his whole contract thing, because he has a very large contract and it doesn't expire for 4 more years. However, I don't think the contract is as bad as people think it is. I think people get caught up in the numbers. Well, obviously it's a contract, so you got to get caught up in the numbers. But, I think a lot of it is the contract for people. It's not so much his talent as it is his contract, because Jared Goff is getting paid a lot of money. And, Jared Goff is getting paid way more than he likely should be getting paid. I mean, it's no secret that Jared Goff is not the greatest quarterback in the NFL, but the Rams are paying some of that contract. I believe they're paying his entire signing bonus for next year, which takes his contract down significantly and makes it so the Lions don't have to pay as much next season. And then if you were to cut him, not obviously not next year, and then if you were to cut him after the 2022 season, you'd only take an $8 million cap hit. And if you were to cut him after his third season, you'd only take a $2 million cap hit. So it's not like we're stuck with Jared Goff forever. I mean, we're definitely going to keep him around for at least next year and likely the year after that. But after 2022, this team can get rid of Jared Goff and still obviously retain those firsts and that third round pick. So, I mean, I think it's a solid trade. And I know everybody's going to start talking about, oh, Goff's contract is horrible. To be totally honest, Goff's contract is less than ideal. We're paying more money to a quarterback that is not as talented as the quarterback we just traded away. But I think people are overreacting to the contract because, yes, it is bad, but it's not life-changing. It's not world-ending. And it's not, it's not something that the Lions can't overcome within 2 or 3 seasons. Now, E-Dog says, I'll take EDP at quarterback over Jared Goffy. I mean, I don't know. I think Jared Goff is okay. I think he's very inconsistent. But when Jared Goff is having a good day, I think he's a pretty good quarterback. And I think, we talked about this. I was on Speak Easy podcast. I was on his stream last night talking about this. And, Jared Goff's floor is probably the high 20s at quarterback, I would say. I think that's a fair spot to put him. I think his floor is low 20 or high 20s, right? 21, 20, maybe 19. So the low teens, high 20s. That's Goff's floor, which, is obviously lower than Matt Stafford's because I think Matt Stafford was, borderline top 10. I think Stafford's floor was 12th, while Jared Goff's floor is 20th. But, at the same time, Jared Goff is not a bad quarterback. Jared Goff can make the throws you need to make. Jared Goff can make smart decisions. Jared Goff can be successful in the NFL with the right system. So I don't think that Jared Goff is necessarily a bad quarterback. The only thing I don't like about this trade is the contract. But like I said, the contract is not as bad as a lot of people think it is when they first look at it. So he definitely is stopped. Yeah, I think so. I love the deal. I love the deal too. I think the Lions got a lot of value out of it. Again, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but you take a player that doesn't want to be here and you turn that player into 2 first-round picks, a third-round pick this season to improve the team now, 2 first-round picks to improve this team in the future, and a bridge quarterback and a decently solid quarterback in Jared Goff for at least 2 or 3 years, if not longer. Now, Burrito says, Lions fans complain that Stafford's not a winner. Well, Goff went to a Super Bowl. He won playoff games. He's somewhat of a winner. Stop complaining. Well, that's not really how I look at it. I know a lot of people do, and I'm not, discrediting or saying that you're wrong or anything like that. But, it's, to me at least, it's not about the winning games. It's not about winning regular season games. It's not even about winning, necessarily playoff games. Because to me, if you don't win a Super Bowl, what good is it? What good is a wild card win? What good is a divisional round win if you're not winning the Super Bowl? Like, to me, wild card victories are just as valuable as regular season ones. Divisional victories are just as valuable as regular season ones. And the only win in the playoffs that really matters is the Super Bowl. And if you're not winning the Super Bowl, I don't really care. I mean, yeah, if you go to a Super Bowl, that's very impressive, obviously, right? If you win in the conference championship, if you go to the Super Bowl, you go to the biggest game and the biggest stage of the NFL, that is something that is an accomplishment. Winning in the wild card and winning in the divisional round doesn't make you a good quarterback, right? I mean, you got guys like Rex Grossman who have more playoff wins than Matt Stafford, but who's going to take Rex Grossman over Matt Stafford? I get that Lions fans are upset that Stafford didn't win, but Goff is not going to win here in Detroit. Goff was in a much better situation in LA. Goff was in a much better spot from a coaching standpoint, from a player standpoint, from the pieces surrounding him. He was in a much better position, and Jared Goff in LA was instructed, don't lose us the game. You don't have to make any crazy throws. You don't have to do anything incredible. You don't have to be, this savior at quarterback. We need you to not throw the game away. In Detroit, he's going to have to make those game-saving plays, right? In Detroit, he's going to have to make those tight throws, those big moment throws that are either going to win you or lose you games. He's going to have to make fourth quarter comebacks by himself. He's not going to have the number 1 scoring defense to lean back on. He's not going to have the number 1 rushing attack and back-to-back offensive player of the years in Todd Gurley. He's not going to have that in Detroit. So I get that, people are like, oh, Stafford didn't win and Goff has won. the situations are so different from Detroit to LA that you can't really make that a fair comparison between the two. Goff ain't going to be here for long. I think Goff is here for 2, maybe 3 years max, and I think we get rid of him, and I think we get a quarterback. Speaking of quarterbacks, he says, Writer, I'm still drafting a quarterback at 7. If the right quarterback is there at 7, I'm still taking a quarterback. If Wilson is there, if Fields is there, or if somehow something comes out and Lawrence is there, I am taking those 3 at 7 if either of them are available. I don't know if I reach for Lance at number 7. I did a whole video on Lance, and I think he has limitless potential, but I don't know if I'm risking that whole, I don't know if I'm risking the 7th overall pick on potential when I do have a at least serviceable quarterback, a top 20 quarterback at my disposal for at least the next 4 years. Right. So I think that if the right quarterback falls, there's a very good argument to be made that you take a quarterback at 7. But I think if the big 3 are gone, Lawrence, Wilson, and Fields, I think that there's a good argument that you could also go the other direction. And, from that standpoint, I see it going both ways. And I'm sure as, the mock drafts come out, as I start doing mock drafts and, all these things, I'll probably have some drafts where we take a quarterback, and I'll probably have some drafts where we do not take a quarterback, because I truly think at this point, the Lions can go any direction they want to. They can take a quarterback at 7. They could wait till the 2nd round to take a quarterback and maybe, gamble on a Mac Jones or a Kyle Trask or maybe even a Jamie Newman if they like him. I think there's a lot of different ways the Lions can go, but another part of this trade is getting Jared Goff gives the Lions so much more wiggle room. It gives them so much more ability to do what they want in the draft, and they're not necessarily now forced to take that quarterback at 7. Even especially if they're not super high on Trey Lance, now with Jared Goff on the team, they're not forced to take that quarterback at 7. Whereas if we did not get that Goff contract, we would have to take a quarterback at 7, and we would have to and be forced to take most likely Trey Lance, who, as a lot of people think, including myself, he is not quite ready to start day 1 for any NFL franchise. Looney Tunes says, I feel like we just went sideways, maybe even backwards a little bit with more picks. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I think the Jared Goff thing was a step backwards. I think Jared Goff is a step back from Matt Stafford. As I said, I think Matt Stafford's floor, I think the worst you're going to see out of Matt Stafford is a top 12 quarterback. I think the worst you're going to see out of Jared Goff is a top 20 quarterback. So I think there is a step down from Stafford to Goff, or maybe even 2 or 3 steps backwards. But at the same time, now we're accumulating more draft capital because, like it or not, this is a rebuild at this point. Like it or not, the Lions have moved on from their franchise quarterback. They're starting over with a head coach. They're starting over with the GM. They're starting over with pretty much everybody on the roster. Like it or not, this is a rebuild. And with the Lions taking that step back and acquiring more draft capital, getting rid of one of their biggest and worst contracts on the team, obviously, Jared Goff still has one of the worst contracts on the team now, but getting rid of that Stafford contract, that's going to help the team in the long run. I think that this is going to help the Lions out a ton. And, I think, like you said, I think it's a lateral move from quarterback to quarterback, because I think you're going to see a difference between Stafford and Goff, but I don't think it's going to be a difference where it's like, oh, Goff is going to be the worst quarterback in the NFL while Stafford is the best quarterback in the NFL. I think you're going to see a little fluctuation. I think Goff is going to look a little worse in Detroit. I think Stafford's going to look much better in LA. But at the same time, I don't think we're getting a bad quarterback in Jared Goff, but we're still acquiring 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick to be used this year in a draft class that is a lot of talent. Obviously, a lot of draft classes have a ton of talent. That's why there are guys going to the NFL. But, I think this draft class is very deep. Particularly at linebacker, particularly at wide receiver. I think there's some good O-linemen in this draft. I think especially the receiver position is incredibly deep in this class. And that 3rd round pick might not sound like a lot now, but that 3rd round pick could potentially be Rondale Moore, could potentially be Kadarius Toney, could potentially be, a linebacker that we haven't looked at super in depth yet. That 3rd round pick can be incredibly valued to the Detroit Lions. And based off what I've seen from the guys that are in the front office, based off what I've seen from other guys drafting in the Lions organization, that 3rd round pick can be incredibly valuable to this team as early as next season. Now, Burrito Frito says, you want to bet Kelly wanted to go to LA more than Stafford just because the houses and mansions are better in LA than Indy and San Francisco. I think she had to say, but I do think Stafford wanted to go to LA. I think, if you're Matthew Stafford, right, you're going to the team with Cam Akers, who's a very good young running back, Sean McVay, in my opinion, a top 3 offensive mind in football right now, the number 1 scoring defense from a year ago with Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey on that defense. They are contenders now with Stafford. I truly believe right now, if nothing changes between now and the draft, between now, free agency, and the draft, the Rams are Super Bowl contenders with Matt Stafford. So I do think he wanted to go there because that's going to give him a better chance to win. But I also think Kelly did have a say. And I think, obviously Kelly's been very vocal about things in the past. So, it wouldn't surprise me if she had a say in it. But I think at the end of the day, it was more on Stafford and it was more on the Lions as, the two parties, more so than, Kelly actually had that effect. Let's be the QB dealership. Trade Goff for first. Let's trade for Minshew. Trade him for first. Let's get Darnold to trade him for first. Let's sign Big Ben. Trade him for a third. I talked about this last night on Easy's podcast. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility if we do trade Jared Goff. I don't think that's, completely out of the realm of possibility. I think they are going to stick with Jared Goff. I think more likely than not, Jared Goff will be the quarterback or will be the starting quarterback in 2021. But, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that the Lions might make another lateral move, bundle Jared Goff, maybe one of those first and something this year, and they go get Deshaun Watson or something. That would be a crazy move. There's a lot of ways they can go with this. I think they're going to keep Goff. I think they are going to keep Jared Goff, but you never know, right? If somebody calls up, if the Houston Texans call up and they're like, hey, we kind of like Jared Goff, we want to trade Deshaun Watson for, Jared Goff and, maybe one of those first round picks you got, then you're like, well, we taking Jared or are we taking Deshaun Watson? The obvious answer is Deshaun Watson. So, I don't think it's likely we trade Jared Goff, but that would be quite an interesting offseason. If we trade our franchise quarterback for Jared Goff, and then we trade that quarterback we traded for, we trade him away to get a different franchise. That would be a fun storyline. That would make for a lot of fun videos. Not possible. We would eat a lot of cap. Yeah, that's true. But I know it's a joke. But it's just fun to think about. But like I said, I think we should still draft a quarterback. I am not really mad about this trade because we're not going to do much next year anyway. Yeah, I think we should draft a quarterback, but I don't think we should force the quarterback pick. As I kind of mentioned earlier, I think the big 3, if they're there, you have to take them because I don't think Jared Goff is the long-term answer. And if Jared Goff goes out next year and Anthony Lynn develops a good system and puts Jared Goff in good situations, if Anthony Lynn goes out there and in 2021, the Lions offense looks incredible and Jared Goff gets back to, his really good form that he was in a couple years ago, that happens, then, I'll be fully ready to admit that I am wrong. But from what I've seen, I'm not super convinced that Jared Goff is the savior. And I'm not super convinced he's going to be here even 3 years from now. So I do think drafting a quarterback is definitely a possibility. And I think if the right quarterback falls to you, you have to take that guy because more likely than not, the quarterback, if we do draft a quarterback in this class, he is going to be your franchise for the next 2 decades and not Jared Goff. No, Goff is gone after 2022. I think that's very possible. And if not after 2022, definitely after 2023, unless he's playing, ridiculous, unless he develops incredibly well, which is possible, but I wouldn't say is likely. So, I think, yeah, like you said, one Pride 40, I think 2022 is likely. But if not 2022, I think he won't be here after 2023. I think 2023 is his last season, which feels weird to put a deadline on the quarterback that hasn't played for us yet, but I think that's pretty likely. I could care less about Goff. I'm more impressed by the picks. Yeah, I think the return as far as picks was very, very impressive. I think the return as far as the 2 firsts and the third, that's a very good haul for, an aging quarterback. And as much as I love Matt Stafford, as much as Matt Stafford's my favorite quarterback and probably my favorite player in the NFL, even though he's not on the Lions anymore, I was not expecting a 2 firsts and a third and a quarterback. I was not expecting that kind of a haul for Matt Stafford. And, I know there are some reports out there that, maybe Washington's offer was better. Maybe this offer or that offer was better. But, I can't complain too much about the picks we got. And especially considering their future picks, picks that I think I saw a very interesting point this morning that, people were complaining, oh, they're future picks. How does that help us now? One, this is going to be a long-term rebuild. And two, this offseason is kind of strange for the Lions because our new general manager, he is, obviously has limited time to scout because he's been scouting all season, but he's been scouting for the Rams, not the Lions. So that could affect the way he looks at the draft. You got John Dorsey, who hasn't been scouting for the Lions. You got Ray Agnew, hasn't been scouting for the Lions. All of our new personnel have not been scouting for the Detroit Lions. However, next year, 2022, 2023, they'll have a full season to evaluate this team and see where the holes are. They'll have a full season under their belts knowing what this team looks like, where their struggles are, where their strengths are. And, after that, I think those picks in 2022 and 2023 are actually more valuable because it gives our young front office more time to evaluate the team and truly find the right players to fix it versus forcing a potential fix and falling flat on your face when it doesn't work. Should the Rams sign Marvin Jones Jr.? Also, if Stafford is playing on primetime or something, can you live stream? If the Rams are playing on primetime, I'll consider it. If the Rams are in the playoffs next year, which I fully expect them to be, and if they make the Super Bowl somehow, you better believe I'm streaming the Super Bowl that Matt Stafford is in if I'm not there. But it's yes, if Matt Stafford is on a primetime game, if I have the ability to live stream a Rams playoff game with Stafford being the starting quarterback, I will do so. Yeah. We should trade back and load up on defensive talent, linebackers, and D-line. I think that's a route they could go. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of different ways, a lot of different directions the Lions can go in the draft. Now, I think Jared Goff gives them a lot more flexibility in the draft. And with the addition of Jared Goff, I think it's much more likely that you do see the Lions trade back. And I think it's more likely now that you see them take defensive talent higher, more so than you see them take a quarterback. Because without Goff, they were almost forced to take a quarterback at 7. Now they're a bit more flexible. They have the ability to take more defensive talent. They have the ability to load up on the defensive side a lot more than they would without Goff. So, I think the potential of trading back is a very real possibility for the Lions, but we'll have to wait and see. I think they said the Rams and the Lions are playing next season too. I don't think, not next season. I think the season after. I think in 2022, the Lions and the Rams play, but I can check. Detroit Lions 2022 schedule. Let's see. I don't think they play the Rams in 2020. No, well, it should be 2021. That would probably be the first thing because I don't know how they would have all this yet because a lot of it's determined by your record. It would be 2021. Let's see. What are the Lions' 2021 opponents? Let us see. We might play the Rams. Let's see. We do play the Rams. So we do play Matt Stafford. We do play Matt Stafford this year or this coming year. That will be fun. That'll be really interesting. Man, every time I look at this schedule, I see another team that just makes the schedule look even more brutal than it is. But yeah, we do play Stafford next year. Does Stafford look good in a Rams jersey? Stafford will never look good in a Rams jersey. Stafford will only look right in a Detroit Lions jersey. I'd assume you meant wait till 2022 to draft a quarterback. We will have 2 number 1 picks next year, and more than likely we should hold a top 5 pick next year. I think that's possible. I think the quarterback class this year is a little better. I think, the quarterback class this year is better than next year's, but I think next year has some good players in it. I think Slovis from USC is very solid. I like JT Daniels from Georgia. I like Desmond Ridder from Cincinnati next year. Obviously, Spencer Rattler from Oklahoma is likely to come out. Sam Howell from North Carolina is likely to come out. There's some solid talent next season. So I don't think waiting for 2022 is a bad thing. And I don't think the quarterback class next year is a bad one in any way. I think they're a very solid quarterback class. I think Howell's probably 1. Rattler's probably 2. Slovis is probably 3. Daniels is probably 4. But, obviously you got Desmond Ridder at probably QB5 in that class. That's a solid top 5. I mean, that's not a bad quarterback class, but I do think this year's class is a bit better. So, I think I think it's very possible we see a quarterback in 2022. But I think if they want that franchise guy, they're not going to wait and hope. I think if they see an opportunity to get their franchise quarterback, especially at number 7, I think they're going to take it this year and not wait till next year and say, oh, maybe we have a top 5 pick. Maybe the Rams suck. Maybe something happens here. Maybe we get a top 5 draft pick. I think the Lions need to act on what they know right now and not have to rely on luck or faith or optimism to get them the quarterback they want. I think if they see a quarterback that they like now, they're going to take the opportunity to get him. Writer, it's no Chase Young in this draft or at 7. That is very true. There is no Chase Young, but I do think there are some solid defensive players. I do think this draft class is relatively solid. Let's see if we go to the Draft Network. They usually have some pretty good defense. Well, they usually have really good rankings in general for prospects. So as that comes up, I'll keep going. Rams fan here. Hope he helps with the trade. Helps with the Rams rebuild. Stafford and Rams horns will look great. Nah, no, it won't. No, it won't. Stafford will never look right. I said this last night. It'll be 3 years in the future. Stafford might have a Super Bowl. If Stafford's ever holding up a Super Bowl trophy in a Rams uniform, it's not going to look right. It just won't. Like, there's no way. I will never, ever look at Stafford in a Rams uniform and think, yep, that looks correct. That is what I want to see my quarterback in. Like, it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't look right. And no matter how many times I see it, it's like Brady in a Bucs uniform. It just doesn't look right. But I'm happy for you Rams fans. I really am. I just lost where I was. All right, here we go. It's not the year, it's the draft class, or it's not the year, it's the draft class. I don't know what you mean by that. I apologize. Stafford's on a much better contract than Goff. That's very true, and I think Stafford is much better than Goff. I mean, looking at the defensive talent, though, I think Chris Barmore, I think he's solid. The interior defensive line isn't crazy to me. I'm not sure how all of this is, set up. But as far as defensive talent, I like Azeez Ojulari. I think he's very good. I think Jalen Phillips is solid. I think Gregory Rousseau has limitless potential. Obviously Kwity Paye, I don't think he's declared yet, but I think it's very likely he comes out in the draft. This class is very good. Nick Bolton is solid. Zaven Collins, Jabril Cox is up here. Jeremiah Owosu, Koromoa, Micah Parsons. I feel like there's supposed to be somebody else up there that I'm not seeing right now. I mean, there might not be a Chase Young in this draft class, but there are some solid players in this class. For whoever was talking about the defense earlier. Why do I feel like Stafford's going to get cussed out? Probably because Jalen Ramsey cusses out everybody. Probably because Jalen Ramsey he likes to talk a lot of talk. And I mean, granted, I mean, he can walk the walk with his talk. So, when he says something, he's probably going to back it up. But, it'll probably happen. I wouldn't be surprised. But I don't think Stafford's going to get fazed by Jalen Ramsey talking. I think Jalen Ramsey talks a lot. And Stafford, I don't think he's ever been surrounded by a Jalen Ramsey. But Stafford has been around a lot of personalities before. So I don't think it'll affect him too much. All of this probably won't happen if we would have drafted Tua or even Herbert last season. I mean, Tua's not that good. So there's that. Herbert, I think, is, Herbert, obviously, you look at Herbert now and you think, oh, he's, a future superstar. Nobody knew what Herbert was going to be coming out. Nobody knew Herbert was going to be that good. Everybody thought Tua was going to be great. He's not even that good. And, a lot of it has to do with the system, too. So Herbert probably wouldn't even be what he is here in Detroit. Tua probably wouldn't even be as good as he is in Miami if he were here in Detroit. So, and the Lions had no option. They could not take a quarterback next year. They had no option and no opportunity to do so. It just couldn't have happened. So there's no point in dwelling on it because it couldn't happen and it didn't happen. Lol, Donald won't let that happen. Rams are a drama-free team. Even this awkward ending to Goff was handled with cool heads. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I think Ramsey's got a big mouth on him, but I don't think that causes a ton of conflict within the locker room. Goff is a professional, level-headed guy. You can compete in games, but he won't lead a comeback. That's fair. And I think if the Lions can build a team around Goff and they can let him be a game manager and make it so that his job is don't lose the game, then I think the Lions can be successful. But if they're going to do the same thing they did with Stafford, put the game on his shoulders, make it so he has to do what, he has to win the game for you, Goff is going to struggle a lot in Detroit. Give Stafford 1 minute to score, and he will do it anytime, any day. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Stafford, I mean, if you need a fourth quarter comeback, Stafford is your man. Nobody wanted Jared Goff. He's basically Nick Foles. Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. Rams are a drama-free team. Jalen Ramsey and Golden Tate start fighting. Yeah, like I said, Jalen Ramsey is he's a hothead. Jalen Ramsey likes to talk a lot. But when you're as good as Jalen, you can do that. Lol, that got moved on fast, but touche. I don't think there's such a thing as a drama-free team, especially at a level that's as competitive as professional sports. There's no such thing as drama-free. Even in high school sports, there's drama. Even in college sports, there's drama. So at the highest level of competition, you're gonna see drama everywhere, especially if you're a Rams fan. When you got Jalen Ramsey talking in his talk, you're gonna have some drama. If Stafford wins a Super Bowl this year in Tampa, well, you can't win it this year because the Rams aren't, in it. It would have been his. Oh, if he did, it would have been his beat. That would have been so cool. That would have been awesome. Lions will get Zach Wilson and sit 1 year behind Goff to learn what I would assume he does, what not to do. That's probably likely. I think more likely he sits 2 years behind Goff because we can't cut him after 2021. So either we're gonna bench Goff or we're gonna cut him. But I think either one's possible. And if we do get Wilson, if Wilson's there at 7, you have to take him because he might come into the NFL with a higher ceiling than Goff is at, or a higher floor than Goff is at right now. We had a lot of Rams fans in here today. What is going on, everybody? As a Rams fan, I absolutely love this trade. I love this trade too. I genuinely think it's a win-win scenario for both teams. I genuinely think that the Rams are getting a better quarterback, and the Rams right now are back in Super Bowl contention. And I think the Lions are being set up with very good picks in the near future. I think obviously they're going to have 4 first-round picks in the next 2 draft classes. So I think from both standpoints for what both teams want to do, I think it works. The Rams are making a move to win now, which is what they should be doing. And the Lions are making a move to improve the team over the next 2 or 3 seasons, which again is what they should be doing based on where things sit right now. So I think this is a win-win trade for both sides, and I think both sides should be happy with what they got. Let's see. Or we can get Jameis Winston. He will definitely tell Zach what not to do. That's a fair point. Your division looks tough. It's a tough one. I mean, when your mentors are Goff and Winston, you will learn what not to do for sure. That's a fair point. Do we play the Rams in 2021? We do, Jay. We do play the Rams. I don't know what week. I don't know how early. Where are we at LA? Yes, we're actually in LA. So we're traveling to LA to play the Rams. Oh, I should have just gone a comment down. That should be an interesting one. Stafford's going to light us up. I swear to God. Stafford's going to go off for like 500 yards and 17 touchdowns. Like, it's going to be a slaughter when we play the Rams. But it'll be fun to watch Stafford get his revenge. And then the Lions haters can maybe shut up. Vegas now has the Rams the 4th highest odds to win the Super Bowl. I think that's probably fair. I think Kansas City's probably better. I think Buffalo, you can make the case. I think Baltimore, you could make the case. I think the Green Bay, we could make the case for that. I think the Buccaneers keep Brady. You could definitely make that case. That's a very good team. So yeah, I think 4th. I think top 5. I think is very fair. Stafford can't come back to Detroit. Yeah, I mean it'll definitely be weird. You think it's weird seeing Stafford play somewhere else? Imagine Stafford playing at Ford Field just against the Lions. That would be so strange. But I would want to go to that game so badly. Oh my goodness, Stafford's gonna have a field day. There's so many holes to fix in this team. Drafting all defense doesn't seem super logical to me, in my opinion. Of course, defense needs to be fixed, but I don't think we need to go all defense, but I think, I think defense should be a primary concern. I think the first pick, I think, a lot of our picks, I think a majority of our picks should be defense, but I don't think they all have to be. I think we need at least one or two wide receivers. I think we could go a couple O linemen. We obviously might go another running back with, if KJ's leaving, if Adrian Peterson is leaving. I think we could go a running back on the offensive side, but I think there's a lot more holes on the defense. So I think a lot of our capital should go towards the defense to help fix the holes that are on there. But I don't think it has to be I don't think I mean, it's not going to be 100%, right? It's not going to be, 100% defense or 100% offense. And I don't know why people think that's the case. When somebody says, oh, we should load up on defense, I don't know why people think that means it's 100% one way or the other. The lines are going to split it. They're going to go some offense, some defense. But I think they should focus more on the defense than anybody or than the offense. The Rams need to win to get into the playoffs, and the game is against the Lions. I'm going to vote for the Rams for that game. If the Lions are out, at least we can do is vote for. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's very fair. If I mean, I know we're not going to play them in week 17 because that's always a divisional game. But if we do it for week 16 and it's like the Rams are going to clinch the division if they beat the Lions and the Lions are out of the playoffs, I'm probably going to root for Stafford more than the Lions at that point. Obviously I'm a Lions fan first, but if the Lions are out of the playoffs, if they have nothing to play for and the Rams and Stafford are going to win, well, Stafford's going to win his first division title and the Rams are going to obviously make the playoffs as a top seed. I think at that situation, I'd have to root for Stafford over my Lions. People are saying Holmes said that Goff is the future, but I don't see that anywhere. I mean, I think the future could mean a lot of things. The future could mean, 2-3 years, or the future could mean 10, 15 years. So I think when he says the future, it could be a short-term future. It could be a long-term future. I know Holmes really likes Jared Goff. He's the guy that scouted Goff, and I believe was the guy that, was like, yeah, we need to get this guy. We need to trade up for him. So, I mean, I think Holmes sees a lot in Jared Goff. I think he's very excited. I think he really likes Jared Goff as a player, but, I don't think I don't know. I don't know. I think Holmes is very high on Jared Goff, and we'll have to see if that, that faith is wrong like it was with Patricia, or if he genuinely, isn't being biased and truly sees something in Jared Goff that could make him a franchise quarterback. Patrick Jones is kind of nice. Where's Patrick Jones? I would assume you're talking about a prospect. Patrick Jones. I'm not sure who that is. That's just why I'm looking it up real quick. Well, they must not have anybody. Let's see if he might just not have declared yet. That's very possible. Patrick Jones. Okay. Oh, I've seen him before. I like him. I like him a lot. I didn't know his name until right now. But I have seen him play. I did see him at the Senior Bowl, and I'm not opposed to Patrick Jones. I like him a bit. He seems pretty nice. 17 games in 2021. If we are going to play 17 games in 2021, that is official. If so, how is the extra game chosen by the league? Anyone know? I believe it's just at random. Because at least the way I understand it, obviously you have your 6 divisional games, then you play every 4 years, you cycle through an AFC conference. So you go from north, south, east, west. You obviously cycle through those every 4 years. And then it goes off, I believe if you finish third in your division, you play the other third place teams. I believe that's how it works. And then I think the last game is just randomly selected. I don't know how the 17th game is going to be, picked, but what you mean? I don't look good in a Rams jersey. Not that you don't look good. You just don't look right, Stafford. You don't look right in a Rams uniform, man. You only look good in Detroit. And I swear to God, if the Rams don't give you number 9, I might have to go throw hands with somebody, because if you're wearing like 16 or anything that's not number 9 and you're in a Rams uniform, that's just not okay. If I know you're not the real Matt Stafford, but if you are the real Matt Stafford, you better be getting number 9 in LA. That's all I'm saying. You better be getting number 9, because if you get some stupid number like 16 or like 14, or you get anything that's not number 9, we're gonna have problems. Goff is only 26 years old and has 45 wins since 2017, multiple playoff wins, and a Super Bowl visit. Yeah, that's true. He's been within a winning organization for a while. So, I mean, there's always that angle to look at it from, I guess. I mean, I think there's always that angle to look at it where it's like, yeah, he has experience in the playoffs. He has experience winning football games. I don't think that was, necessarily him specifically being, a great quarterback, by himself, but I do think it's possible that, that's an interesting point to look at is, he's been a winning quarterback his whole life. So, is just that attitude of him being a winning quarterback, is that history, and is that, knowledge of how to be a winning team, that knowledge of, what we need to do to be a winning franchise, is that going to carry over anywhere with Jared Goff? I think that's probably not the most likely situation, but I think it's a possible one. Stafford said he didn't want to go to the Pats. Yeah, I think Matt Patricia messed him up a little bit. I wouldn't be mad to get a running back alongside Swift and Kerryon. Low key ain't cutting, in my opinion. I mean, I don't think Kerryon's getting cut. I don't think so. I think he's been a reliable back. I think he's a very good pass protecting back at the very least. And I think he showed a lot of skills early in his career. But I think with the right offensive coordinator, I think we could see Kerryon get back to where he was his rookie season. And low key, I don't know where Trey Sermon's going to go, but if Trey Sermon's available in like the third or the fourth round because of injury, I'm taking Trey Sermon, man. Trey Sermon was nasty at the end of last season. And if he did not get hurt in that national championship game, I think that game is much closer than what it actually turned out to be. Not saying Ohio State would have won, but I think if Sermon is healthy in that game throughout the entire game, I think we see a very different national championship game. No combine this year. Get as many picks as you can and trade down. Yeah, I think that's positive. They do still have pro days, I believe. I believe they are still going to have pro days, but they're not going to have the national combine this year, which sucks because the combine is just fun to watch, which is weird because it's just a bunch of running and jumping and drills, but it's still fun. QB should be high on their list. I think it moves down a couple spots because now they have that flexibility with Goff, but I think QB should probably still be top of their draft board. I think QB should still be high on the list for the Lions for sure. I don't know if that has to be number one anymore, but I think very realistically, it is still a top 5 need. I saw on ESPN that Goff said he was cool with staying here for a while or something like that. Well, he better be because he doesn't have a choice. If Goff balls out, then I'm buying his jersey. Hey, if Goff has a good season, man, if Goff plays really well in 2021, I might have to cop myself a Jared Goff Lions jersey. It might have to happen. But I'm not going to do it until Jared Goff balls out. Patrick Jones was at the Senior Bowl yesterday. Yeah, I just saw that. I did see him. I guess I didn't realize that was his name. I wasn't really doing intense scouting when I watched the Senior Bowl or any of the practices. I was just kind of watching to see if anybody stuck out. And, I feel like I remember him making plays. Maybe I'm mistaken. I feel like I remember him having a decent Senior Bowl, though. I didn't watch the whole game because I had my own games to go to yesterday. So I didn't get to watch the whole Senior Bowl, but I thought during the practices he looked solid, if I'm remembering correctly. And from what I have seen, the very limited I've seen on Patrick Jones, I think he's pretty solid. Can you see if they're selling Rams a Stafford jersey? I'm sure they are. It's going to look weird. Matt Stafford Rams jersey. I spelled jersey without an E. Oh my goodness. If this is going to happen, I'm going to cry, dude. I might have to cop myself a Stafford Rams jersey just because he's my favorite player. Oh, what's this going to look like? Is it going to be, it's going to be Lions. Okay. These are cool hoodies. I like these. That's cool. This is just going to turn into me going through stuff. Let's see if we go to, can we find, I don't know. I can't find a Stafford jersey right now, but I'm sure they'll be there. Let's see, view all teams. We'll keep going down the list. I'm sure they're selling them somewhere. Let's see. If the Lions have an established run game, then Goff will succeed just how Tannehill did. I think that's a fair point. I think if KJ and if DeAndre Swift can be successful in the rushing attack, I think we could see Goff have a much better career in Detroit than a lot of people are predicting. I don't think the trade can be official until the season's over. I think the trade is official, but both quarterbacks still have to pass their physicals and all of that. So it could always revert back, and it's not necessarily official yet. As obviously, as I said, both quarterbacks have to pass their physicals and some other legal stuff within the NFL. But it's pretty much official, assuming everything as far as the physicals and as far as the player standpoint, as far as everything, if everything goes as it is supposed to, then the trade is official. It's happened. The picks have been sent. The picks have been made, exchange, whatever. As long as both players pass their physicals, it'll be a done deal. There was another player from Kansas State on defense that looked kind of nice to me. I'll have to look into it. If you have his name, please leave it. I want to look at as many players as I can. So if you have a name for this player from Kansas State, I'll definitely take a look at it. In fact, one second, I'm going to just grab my notebook really quickly so I can write down some names in case anybody has names that they want to see me do a breakdown on. If they want to, if they want me to, do a video on anybody, feel free, obviously, to leave any names you want. Looney Tune, you can leave your guys. Obviously, we'll be taking a look at Patrick Jones. We'll take a look at everybody. Imagine if we get Sue and Perfect. That's a lot of penalties, man. Look at Goff, then look at David Blau. Look at both of them in Lion jerseys. Tell me what's the difference. The number. I think Goff has a better arm than David, but I think Jared Goff is just like the better David Blau. I think they're, but you know what? Both of them are better than Chase Daniel, so I can't complain. Also, another linebacker from Houston I saw at the Senior Bowl was pretty nice. Again, if you have the names, please leave them down and I'll write them and take a look at it. I haven't taken a look at a lot of the late round guys. I've taken a look at a lot of early round guys. Obviously, Wilson and Parsons and Lance I've taken a real deep dive into. But everything else, I kind of have limited knowledge until I obviously do a direct search and watch a ton of game film on set players. I'll take Dwayne Haskins over Goof, even though he'd probably be at the club instead of playing football games for the Lions. I don't know if I'd go that far, but I don't think Dwayne Haskins is that bad of a quarterback. I just think his whole situation in Washington wasn't ideal. I don't think the day he was picked, the organization was split on him. The organization wasn't even 100% behind their franchise quarterback they had just drafted. So, I think Pittsburgh will be a much better situation for him. Whether he continues to make poor decisions off the field is obviously up to him, but I think he'll be better in Pittsburgh. Right or wrong, I'm not talking about how good they are. I'm talking about how they look exactly the same. Except for that's very fair. That's they do probably look pretty similar. Can Stafford win MVP? I think he can. He's put up MVP numbers in Detroit before. Obviously with Sean McVay, one of the better offensive-minded coaches in the NFL. I think one of the best play callers in the NFL. I think we could see Stafford put up some good numbers next year. I wouldn't be surprised, especially if the Rams have a good season, especially if the Rams win the West, especially if the Rams maybe get a number 1 or number 2 seeding. You could definitely see Stafford in those MVP talks. I think it's very possible. Here's Dr. Detroit. I knew he was in here somewhere. I knew he was going to get here. This was a great trade. So glad to move on. Not a Goff fan, but not a Goff fan, but in the big picture, unless he just blows the staff away, he is just an expensive stopgap. Great move. Stafford fans look devastated. I'm not devastated. I'm very happy for Matt Stafford. And in fact, I'm very happy with the return we got for him. He says, I'm here for it. I like the trade. I think as I kind of mentioned this earlier, I like the trade from both standpoints. I think the Rams won this trade because they get a good quarterback that's going to be winning now. Stafford gets to go to a great situation with one of the best offensive minds in one of the better constructed organizations in the NFL. So I think it's a win from every perspective. Stafford wins. The Lions win because they get all this draft capital to rebuild and obviously to rebuild the next couple of years. The Rams get a quarterback that can definitely take them farther than Goff and definitely take them to the Super Bowl. It's a win-win-win for everybody involved. Now, who won more, I think, is up for debate, but I think everybody won nonetheless. If a coach like Ron Rivera don't believe in you, I don't know, man. Ron Rivera wasn't there when he drafted him, though. Ron Rivera didn't pick Dwayne Haskins, so there's always that to look at too. I'm so hyped, bro. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy about it. I'm really excited. Dr. Detroit, what will you say if he wins a playoff game in LA? He says he'd love it. Oh, isn't that nice? Stafford definitely deserves a playoff win for what he's gone through. Wait, now I'm confused. Are you a hater or you like him, but think it was time to move on? If you're talking about me, I love Matt Stafford. I didn't want Stafford to move on, but I'm happy for him that he got to move on, and I'm happy with the return we got for him. I'm definitely not a hater of Matt Stafford. I definitely really like Matt Stafford. He's still my favorite player in the NFL regardless. But I don't think it was time to move on yet. I would have liked to see Stafford stay 1 or 2 more years to groom the next guy, but at the same time, I still think it was a win-win situation. I still think the Lions got very good return, and I think Stafford's going somewhere where he's going to get a chance to win. The trade was really good, but thinking that Goff is the guy, I don't think Goff is the guy. I think Goff is just at the best, he's going to be a bridge quarterback. I think at Goff's highest ceiling that I see right now, I see Goff staying until 2023, and then we cut him with a very minimal cap hit, and we move on to the next guy. Whether that be a guy we draft this year or a guy we draft next year. But I don't think Goff is the guy. I think he's going to be a guy for a couple of years. Goff will teach the rookie what not to do, though. I think Goff can be a decent teacher. I mean, not that he's the most experienced quarterback, but he's an experienced quarterback. I assume you mean win a playoff game this year for us? He will not. I'd be very shocked if he does take us to the playoffs, and if it's Goff's, if Goff is the reason we make the playoffs next year, then I'll eat my words and I'll be fully ready to take back what I said. But I just don't see it. As a resident of Los Angeles and a Lions fan, I love this trade. I would expect. I never hate Stafford. I just thought all the guys thinking we could not win without him were over dramatic. I mean, we haven't won without him. We can't. I mean, when was the last game? What's the last game we won without Matt Stafford? We truly can't win without him. But obviously that's more on the organization more so than it is on Stafford. We're just not going to get it done with him at 33. I mean, until we win a game with Stafford, I think the argument that we can't win without him is a solid one. All right. Looney Tune got the names. Let's see it. All righty. So we got my guy, Wyatt Hubbard, Hubert, out of K-State. And we got Grant Stewart out of Houston. All righty. Those are names that I have written down, and I will be taking a look at as this draft process goes and continues forward. Goff will not win a playoff game. We are rebuilding. Expect to go 3 to 4 wins next season. I think we get a couple more, but I don't see more than 6 wins next season. But I think we could probably hit 5 or 6. I think that's possible. I think that's a fair estimate. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I think we get more than 3, but I don't think we cap over at 6. Nobody thinks that we can win without him. We just have a better chance of winning with him. I mean, there's a lot of people that think we can't win without him, and newsflash, we haven't won without him in a very long time. The year after getting better than next. The year after getting better than next. Oh, the next. Okay. Yeah, I fully agree. You should also look at Cameron Sample from Tulane. I think he's a DN. He's nice in my opinion. I'll write it down. I'll write him down. Let's see. What are we looking at? Cameron Sample feel like one time you're just gonna troll me and you're gonna give me like a real stupid name or something. Um, Hater, then why did the pros who evaluate this stuff move on? I mean, because it was a good deal, because Stafford wanted to move on, because Stafford didn't want to be here, so we had to. For Miami, I have looked at Quincy Roche a little bit. I think he's pretty solid. I do like him quite a bit. I haven't taken a ton of looks at him, but I think he's solid. Maybe 5 or 6. Yeah, I think 5 or 6 is probably closer to how many wins we're gonna get next season. But I can't see us capping 6 or 7. I think 6 or 7 is probably our ceiling for next season. I want Tyler Blevins. I'm not quite sure who Tyler Blevins is, but I'll take a look. Tyler Blevins. Let's see. Let's see. What are we looking with? Tyler Blevins. Oh, what? Fantastic. Fantastic. All righty. Dude, I don't know some of this stuff, man. I'm here to talk Lions, not talk something else. um, I've been a Lions fan for 30 years. I hope we get better. I think we're gonna see improvement this year. Hopefully, I think we're gonna see improvement, but I don't think we're gonna see a ton of success. That's what I'm looking for this year. This year, I'm looking for improvement more so than I'm looking for the wins. And I'm gonna look at individuals this season more than wins or losses. Because I think this season, I appreciate you, Looney Tune. You're a good guy. Dude, I don't watch Ninja. I don't know his real name. Like, I don't like Fortnite. Fortnite's lame. Um, but I think we should. I think we're gonna get better this year from a team standpoint. I think the defense should look better. I think the offense should look better. And I think we could get 6 wins, potentially 7, if we get a lucky victory in there somewhere. But I think we'll see improvement. But I don't think we're gonna see enough improvement where we're gonna be like, oh, this team is legit right now. I do like Justin Ross from Clemson. I know he's dealing with some injury concerns right now, and I don't know if he's declared for the draft yet or not. But when Justin Ross does come out, I think, especially with the injuries and him falling as far as the injury concern, I'd be super hyped for him. I would be real excited. Um, no, I'm not doing. I'm not. No, I'm not doing it. Who was the top 7 quarterback? Who was the top 7 quarterback in the draft? I'm not sure. Are you talking about this class? I can look it up. The Draft Network. Because they have all the guys that have declared so far. Um, who was the top 7 quarterbacks in the draft? Which draft are you talking about? Are you talking about this draft? Because I'll get there just in a second. I don't want the mock draft. Ladies, says Michael Carter, running back out of North Carolina. All right, I'll take a look. Um, do you think this scheme is going to change since we got a new quarterback? I think the scheme was going to change anyway with the new offensive coordinator. Personally, I just think, I think Anthony Lynn is going to run something different, but I think Anthony Lynn's going to run something different regardless. But now, with a new quarterback, it's likely going to change even more than what we already saw. So, yeah, let me just real quick. It's just from NC already. Okay, I already answered that. Dan Campbell just seems kind of dumb. And barbaric to me. I don't know if you can win football games with a coach. I don't think he's dumb. I mean, I think he's building a good staff. I think he's building a good regime. And I don't know how how much better it's going to look. And I don't know how his new staff's going to turn out. But from what I've seen, he's building this team the right way. And this front office is being built the right way at this point. So I don't think he's a dumb guy. I just think he's going about things very oppositely of Matt Patricia. And I think some people are going to obviously have some pushback to that. I personally like the way he's talking. I like the energy he brings. I like I like his fire. I like his passion. Could he dial it back a little bit? Probably. But I don't think he's a dumb person. I don't think he's a bad coach. And if anything, I think his coaching style is going to resonate better with the players than Patricia. So I think we're gonna see better results than we had with Patricia. But that's just me. Thoughts on Kellen Mond from the Senior Bowl? He looked really good in the Senior Bowl. He looked okay throughout his college career. I didn't watch a ton of Texas A&M, but I watched a fair few games. I watched the Alabama game that he played in. Didn't look particularly good. I did watch the what was it? I watched their bowl game. I thought he was okay. I watched from what I saw of him from the Senior Bowl. I thought he looked pretty solid. But I think Kellen Mond's kind of a late round sleeper. I think he's a kind of a late round flyer, a guy that you could probably get in the 4th or the 5th round, a guy that potentially could be something developmental in the future. And if you're looking for backup a developmental guy, Mond could be your guy. But I don't think I don't obviously we're not going to take him at 7. And I don't know where he's going to go. I don't know what his value is for other teams. I think he's a solid developmental guy. But at the very best, he's like quarterback 6 or 7 in the class. Lean to got all the names today. All righty. Marquez Stevenson, Houston. All right. Where did I go just a minute ago? 2021 declared prospects. Because you're talking about this draft. The Western Michigan kid, I really liked him. I watched him a ton at practices. I watched him a ton at the Senior Bowl practices. I didn't watch a lot of the Senior Bowl game because, as I said, I had stuff to do that day, and I actually forgot it was on entirely. But I really did like that guy. I really did like the kid out of Western Michigan. I thought he looked incredible. So these are all the quarterbacks that have declared this year. You have Sam Ehlinger, who I think is eh. You have Justin Fields, who I think is very good. You have Mac Jones, who I think is eh. You have Trey Lance, who I think has a lot of potential, but I think has a very low floor. You have Trevor Lawrence, who everybody thinks is the next Jesus Christ himself. I don't even know who Davis Mills is. Obviously, the quarterback out of Stanford. But I don't think he's even going to get drafted most likely. Jamie Newman, I think, is an interesting one because I think he has a lot of ability. But I think like Trey Lance, he's incredibly raw. He's kind of a one read and then run quarterback. He makes his first read. If it's not there, he's going to take off with it. And he has the athletic ability in college to do so. But I don't know how that's going to work at the NFL. You have Kyle Trask, who I'm incredibly high on. And then you have Zach Wilson, who, again, I'm incredibly high on. Who is the backup quarterback right now for the Lions? I believe the backup is Chase Daniel or David Blau, whoever wins that job. So I think if you're talking about the Lions, the backup quarterback is Chase Daniels as of right now, but that could always change. We could always get another quarterback. Anyone thinking win now is silly. At this point, we're not going to win now. Like it or not, this is a rebuild at this point. So, that's just how it is. So I think not next year. I think the year after we're going to be competitive. And then I think the year after that, we're going to be, playoff bound. We're going to be real good at, I think we're going to be really good in 2 to 3 years. So there's always that. You have Marlon Tupi. Wow. I'm not going to butcher that, man. DT out of USC. I'll write it down. I can't promise a video on everybody, but I can promise I'll do my best. USC, just so I got the school. Anyone thinking win now is silly. I think that's probably fair. It's a rebuild. It is. I think 3 years is probably fair. I think next year is going to be all about implementing the right system. I think the year after that, which is 2022, of course, I think we're going to be competitive in 2022. And I think we potentially see a playoff berth in there. But I think come the third year with the front office we have in place right now, with the coaching staff we have right now, I think come year 3, we're going to see a real competitive Lions team. We're going to see a team in Detroit that's, truly going to come up and, most I just got distracted. I think 2 or 3 years we could see a very good Detroit Lions team taking over. So there's always that. But yeah, like you said, Dr. Detroit, I don't think win now is not an option anymore. I think with Stafford, you could make that case, you can make that argument. But at the same time, without Stafford, especially now, it is a full rebuild. Lol, most of these are just names for you to look at. Yeah, I'll definitely take a look for sure. Look at the trenches early. Yeah, I think the trenches are going to be real big. I actually like the Lions trenches on the offensive line. I think they got a decent offensive line. I really like Decker. Obviously, everybody likes Rag now. I really like Jonah. I think even Tyrell Crosby is okay. If you have to start him, I think he can be serviceable for a short time. But yeah, the defensive trenches need to be fixed, and they have some pieces. Obviously, I think John Pennicini is very good. I think Taylor or not Taylor. I think Danny Shelton was solid. So I think those two are good nose tackles, but you do got to definitely look at the trenches for sure. Because all the great football teams have great trenches. Every Detroit team is rebuilding. That's very true. How many picks do we have in the draft? I believe this puts us up to 6. Dr. Detroit says, it's okay. You can say you were on the yeah, we have 6 picks. So we have 1, 2, 2 threes, a 4, a 5, and a 6. Is that right? That'd be 7 picks. We don't have a 5th round pick because we traded it for Everson Griffin. It's either the 6th or the 5th round pick we don't have. I believe it is the 6th too, because I don't think Everson Griffin met the expectations to earn that 5th round pick. So I think we have a 1st, a 2nd, 2/3, a 4th, and a 5th, but we do not have a 6th this season. So we got 6 picks in the draft. A lot of them are relatively early, and we could definitely see the Lions trade down or trade up, from that for next year's picks. We could see them use those to trade up into the draft if they need to. If y'all think Stafford old people, then Russell Wilson old. Yeah, they're both the same. They're both the same age. I mean, Russell Wilson and Matt Stafford are both 32 years old. Obviously, people think Stafford's obviously, people think Wilson's much better, which, is probably the case. But it's, I don't know how to put this. Stafford is the same age, and he's not that old. You can see quarterbacks all the time. Brady's in his 40s, Breeze is in his 40s, Rodgers is, I think, close to his 40s. I believe he's high 30s too. The big name quarterbacks, the quarterbacks that have been around for a long time, they're all in their 30s, close to their 40s. So, Stafford, everybody talks about, oh, he's 32, he's old. Stafford, realistically, with the right team around him, could probably play till he's 38, 39. I don't know if he makes it to his 40s, but with the Rams, if they continue to put a good team around him, they continue to get a good run game and a good defense around him, where he's not taking all these shots like he took in Detroit, I think you could see Stafford play until his 40s. So, if you're the Rams, my throat's getting dry. If you're the Rams, you have, right now, you have the potential to be Super Bowl contenders with Stafford. And in the future, you have a, granted, maybe a less likely potential, but nonetheless, you have the potential to have a starting quarterback and a good quarterback for almost a decade. So I don't know if he plays till his 40s. I don't know if he plays, he might retire in 2 years. Who knows? But, realistically, with the way quarterbacks are playing now and the longevity quarterbacks have nowadays in the NFL, I don't think it's super unlikely that Stafford plays till he's 40. And I know, 32 is kind of old. I'm not saying that it's not. Yeah, I mean, 32 is kind of old in terms of football years, but with the right quarterback or with the right team around said quarterback, the quarterback, especially recent years, has been able to play much longer than previous years, right? I mean, you look at early in the NFL's history, quarterbacks weren't playing into their 40s. Why do you think it's such a big deal? Tom Brady's, what is he, 43 in a Super Bowl? It's never happened before. Quarterbacks are playing longer and better in this era than they've ever played before. And it's only going to continue to, the longevity for quarterbacks is only going to continue to get bigger. And, they're only going to continue to play longer and play better football into their later years as the NFL teams learn that, these quarterbacks with the right team can still be very successful in the NFL. You look at Brady. Is he the quarterback he was 5, 6 years ago? No, he's not. But is he still an effective quarterback? He absolutely is. Was Peyton Manning? Peyton Manning was an absolute shell of what he used to be in his Super Bowl year in Denver, but they still won a Super Bowl because that defense was loaded. I mean, you look at I said Eli Manning. Eli Manning was not that old when they won a Super Bowl. Who else? You look at Tom Brady, even a couple years ago, right? He was 40 and he was in a Super Bowl. 41, he was in a Super Bowl. Like now he's 43, he's in a Super Bowl. You look at some of the other guys. Aaron Rodgers is old. He's in an NFC Championship game with the right team. I get 32 is kind of old, and I'm not saying it's not, but 32 also doesn't mean they're retiring next season. 32 could mean 5 more years of solid quarterback play. So I think that's just most quarterbacks have been to a Super Bowl before 30. Well, I mean, most quarterbacks don't win a Super Bowl. So I mean, if you're looking at quarterbacks that have gone to a Super Bowl, yeah, a lot of them are, before 30, but at the same time, how many quarterbacks is that? I mean, you got Brady 6 times, you have Mahomes twice, you have Roethlisberger once or twice, maybe twice, a couple times at least. You have Aaron Rodgers, who's solid. He was there once. Yeah, it's you say most quarterbacks have been to the Super Bowl before 30. Most quarterbacks don't make a Super Bowl. A lot of quarterbacks don't see the playoffs. They don't see playoff success. So, I mean, the fact that people put that on Stafford is kind of ridiculous. And I found this the other day, and I thought this was incredibly interesting. As I reset, and I got to go to my Twitter profile as this starts to work. This is everybody thinks Aaron Rodgers is fantastic. If you don't follow me on Twitter, I sometimes post this kind of stuff. This is Aaron Rodgers' playoff resume. He is 0-42 when trailing a team with a winning record in the fourth quarter. He has 2 playoff comeback. He has 2 game-winning drives in the playoffs, both against not great Cowboys defenses. He's 1-4 in conference championship games. He's 1-8 in the playoffs while trailing at halftime. He has 17 fourth quarter comebacks in his career, which is less than Joe Flacco, as you can read. And he is 7-8 in the playoffs since his Super Bowl run. This is not a great quarterback resume. This is not great playoff success. And yeah, is Aaron Rodgers a great quarterback? He absolutely is. This is not an elite quarterback in the playoffs. If you go back to Aaron Rodgers' playoff performances in his championship games, I think he had a decent game this year. Every other year he's been in a conference championship game, he's been atrocious. And I mean, like horrible. Not even like, oh, he's serviceable. Like he has been very, very poor in the playoffs. Let's see. If we go to Green Bay Packers PFR, because this is the site I use a lot. Don't forget, we can also sign undrafted free agents, by the way. Yeah, that's true. That's very true as well. Why do I feel like people are overrating running quarterbacks? I think Stafford is better than Josh Allen and Kyler Murray and passing. I think how do I want to say this? The running quarterbacks in the NFL add a new dimension to the game, right? Because if you can have your quarterback run the ball, that gives you an extra blocker, that gives you an extra player to run the ball with. Theoretically, that gives you more success as in your rushing attack, because not only can you design quarterback runs, you also have the opportunity to you can design quarterback runs, or if a play breaks down, you have the ability to get out there. Now, as far as Josh Allen, I don't think Stafford's better than Josh Allen. I'll take Josh Allen over Stafford. I'll definitely take Watson over Stafford. I think Kyler Murray's a toss-up. I think Stafford's a better passer than Murray, but I think Murray's more dynamic of a quarterback. So it really depends on the offense you put in place, because rushing quarterbacks can be very dangerous in the NFL, and they can add a whole different dimension to the game. And while I don't think it's necessarily a must to have a mobile quarterback, I think it opens up so much more on your offense that a lot of NFL teams are looking to move to that more mobile quarterback. Um, that's just how I rank it. Rank top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. I think obviously Mahomes is there. Russell Wilson is there. All right, let me go to a list just really quickly, just so I don't repeat myself, just so I kind of have what I want. This is behind the scenes stuff. This is where I make all my thumbnails. Um, as this loads. But Mahomes is obviously up there. Russell Wilson is obviously up there. Let's go to workspace. Um, Obviously Aaron Rodgers is up there. I think Josh Allen is in the top 10. I think I don't know what all these look like anymore. So that's 4. You also have who else is up there? I don't know, man. I need like a list of quarterbacks I can look at. Um, so you got Mahomes. Lamar's probably up there. Lamar's probably in the top 10. I think you could maybe say Brady just because of his leadership ability. I think from that standpoint, you could put Brady at top 10. Um, let's just see if we go to passing. So you got Mahomes, you got Russell, you got Lamar. I think you can make an argument for Herbert. I think you could put him up there. Obviously Deshaun Watson's up there. You could, let's see, who else? I mean, that's solid. I don't know if I would put I put all of them there, but you got Watson these aren't in any particular order. You got Watson as a first. You got Patrick Mahomes in the top 10. That's 2. Josh Allen, that's 3. Justin Herbert, that's 4. Aaron Rodgers, that's 5. Russell, that's 6. I think you could say Tom Brady at 7. I think you could say Lamar Jackson as the 8th quarterback of that top 10. Those are my top 8 quarterbacks in the NFL. Then I think you can make a real argument for Stafford. I think you can make a real argument for Kyler. I think you can make a decent argument for Matt Ryan still. I think, I don't know if I mentioned Tom Brady. I think he's definitely an option for top 10. So, there are some solid quarterbacks. And if you're looking at rushing quarterbacks in the NFL, you have Deshaun. I'd say Patrick Mahomes is a mobile quarterback. Josh Allen's a mobile quarterback. Herbert's a mobile quarterback. Kyler's a mobile quarterback. You have Lamar, obviously a very mobile quarterback, very dynamic. So, you got some good mobile quarterbacks in the top 10 up there. Um, I kind of got off track just a teeny bit. We got 10 million cap space as of right now, so I would say no, but that could change. It could definitely change. Does Marvin Jones and Stafford deserve superstar men? I think Stafford does. I wouldn't go as far to say Marvin Jones does. I think he's a star. I think he's a very good player. I don't know if he's a superstar, but men's dumb anyway. It doesn't matter. Men doesn't know what they're doing. Lamar Jackson is a fraud. I don't think he's a fraud. I think he's pretty solid. I would take Lamar Jackson right now over Jared Goff. That's how I see it. I think Lamar's a top 10 quarterback. I think he's the most dynamic quarterback in the game. Obviously the most dangerous on the ground. So I don't think he's a fraud, but I don't think he's awesome. I don't think he's the greatest passer, but I think he's very capable of doing anything that's asked of him. Should we hope the Rams fail so we get higher first round picks? I'm always going to root for Stafford. Like, genuinely, not that I could care less about the picks. I want the picks to be higher, of course, but at the same time, there are so many players that fall to the end of the first round anyway that no matter if the Rams win back-to-back Super Bowls, we're still going to have the opportunity to get premier talent. We're still going to have an opportunity to get one of the or two of the top 32 players in the next 2 draft classes. We're going to have that opportunity twice. So as long as our scouting department can do their jobs and find the right talent,
I genuinely don't think it's going to be a huge drastic difference whether the Rams are mediocre or whether the Rams are Super Bowl champions. But that's just my opinion. I know people are going to probably disagree. Most overrated quarterback in the league by far. I mean, I don't think that's true. I think Kirk Cousins is pretty overrated. I think that I think who else? I think Jared Goff is probably overrated. Ryan Tannehill is incredibly overrated. Ryan Tannehill, in my opinion, is one of the most overrated. Baker Mayfield, I think, is slightly overrated. Um, but I don't think he's the most, but he's probably slightly overrated. If this was Dion, Stafford better than Watson, Allen, Murray, Herbert, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. I don't think Stafford's better than Watson. I don't think Stafford's better than Allen. I think you could make the case that Stafford's better than Murray just because I think Stafford's a much better passer. But I'll take Herbert over Stafford. I'll take Aaron Rodgers over Stafford. Tom Brady, I think, needs to be in the right system. But I think from a leadership standpoint, I think from just that competitive mindset, I think he's better. I'll take Russell over Stafford. Matt Ryan, again, kind of a toss-up. I think Stafford's better than Ryan. But again, I think that's a close argument as well. So I mean, I don't think Stafford's like top of the top 10, but I think Stafford's definitely bottom of the top 10. When will Stafford be on the cover of Madden 24? I hope Stafford never gets on the cover of Madden because the Madden curse is a real thing. I truly think they're going to bring Galladay back. I think they want to bring Galladay back, and I think Galladay wants to be back. Truthfully, from the things that he has said, from the way he's acting, from the things that he said recently, I think Galladay truly does want to be back in Detroit. I think, he was so fed up with the old coaching staff, but this new coaching staff, without playing a single snap of practice, seems to have Kenny Galladay wrapped around their finger just a little bit. So we'll see how that whole Galladay situation pans out. But, a lot of people are mentioning the cap. The cap isn't really real. I know it's a real thing, but there are so many ways to manipulate the cap. If the Lions truly want or if they truly want Kenny Galladay here, Kenny Galladay will be here. And that's the bottom line. You should look at Jared Patterson. I've seen Jared Patterson. I like him a lot. I know he plays at a small school, but he has a nose for the end zone. I mean, he's pretty good. Didn't he score like 8 rushing touchdowns in one game or something? I'm pretty sure that's who it was. I got really off track with the whole Aaron Rodgers thing. It doesn't matter. Aaron Rodgers sucks in the playoffs. It's how it is. I know it was the Buffalo RB. Yeah, it was 8 touchdowns, bro. The man scored 8 touchdowns in one game. Yeah, Jared Patterson. Like, what is this? He had 409 rushing yards. How does that happen? How do you do that? How at any level do you score 8 rushing touchdowns in a game? Oh, 8 touchdowns. He must have had 6, or must have had a couple receiving. Oh, no, it was 8 rushing. That's so wild, man. That's so crazy. He's a good running back, though. Like, I know he plays at a small conference, but he's a very good running back. I would not be mad, and I think he'll go very late in the draft, if not UDFA. So, if we pick him up, especially in UDFA, that would be fantastic. Interior defensive pass rushers. I don't know what you mean. If you want me to look at it, I can definitely do that, but just give me a minute. I do acknowledge that Lamar is a good quarterback, but he choked back against the Bills. Didn't Lamar get hurt against the Bills? I'm pretty sure he did. Let's see. My God, 409 rushing yards and 8 scores. That's the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Like, that's insane. How do you do that? How do you score 8 rushing touchdowns in a game? There's 60 minutes, dude. Like, that's so crazy. And I know, it was against like Kent State or something. That's not impressive. That's impressive, obviously. Kent State, not the biggest name school, but still, if it were easy, everybody would be doing it. So, that's very, very impressive. Wow. Do you think we need to draft a defensive pass rusher? I definitely think we need defensive pass rushers. I think that what does the interior defensive line look like, or just in general? I like Chris Barmore. I think he's very solid. Other than that, here's whoever was asking for Tyler earlier. He is a real person and he's not ninja. Um, so he's real. I don't know what he is, but somebody said look at him. Tommy Togi, I thought was pretty solid for Ohio State, but he's not really a pass rusher. Marvin Wilson is a guy that a lot of people have been talking about. I think he's okay. I think in the right system, he'll be very solid. Kwity Paye is not up here yet from what I've seen, but I know he's going to likely commit. You got Azeez Ojulari, who I think is a very, very good pass rusher, who if the Lions do trade down to like the teens, I think we could see a potential Azeez pickup. Gregory Rousseau, I think, has the most potential out of everybody, so I think he's solid. So I think if the right talent is there, we could definitely see it. I realize that. I think it was like we're talking about that's the Jared guy. Just still threw a pick six. Yeah, he did, but I mean, would it have mattered if he didn't throw that pick six? They still lose 10-3. So, and he still gets injured. So, yeah, I mean, that pick six wasn't great, but every quarterback's thrown a pick six in their career. Do you think we need to draft defensive pass rushers? I think if the right pass rusher is there, we should. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I think if the right pass rusher is there, then I think we take him. I don't know if there's a pass rusher that is worth taking in the top 7. But I think if we trade down, I think Gregory Rousseau could be a guy in the teens. Kwity Paye is a guy that could be 10-15. You have Azeez Ojulari, I think is going to be probably 15 to 20s. You got the dude from Alabama, Christian Belmore, who I think is going to be a mid first round pick. You have Marvin Wilson, who is likely going to be a day 2 guy, but I think can still be solid. So, I mean, there's some decent talent there. And Looney Tune was talking about him right here. The DT from Alabama. I would assume you're talking Christian Barmore. So I think that's a real solid possibility. Goff has experience and potential, so it's a win-win. If we can develop Goff into what he was supposed to be, being the number 1 pick, it'll be a bigger win for the Lions. But I think even if Goff right now doesn't develop a single bit, if Jared Goff in 2 or 3 seasons is the same quarterback he is right now, I still think the Lions get a good trade. I still think this is a good, solid trade for the Detroit Lions. Parsons from Penn State at 7. I love Micah Parsons. And believe me, Mike, I do. I love Micah Parsons. And if he were to just stay out of trouble off the field, I would take Micah Parsons in an absolute heartbeat. But he's getting in trouble off the field, and you can't have that. You can't. I can't remember everything he's gotten in trouble for, but like Micah, is that how you spell it? Is it C? I think it's a C. Micah, yes, it is. Parsons. He's getting in trouble off the field. And it's just like he's falling in draft boards because he's just being irresponsible. I don't know if you guys can see that, so I'll try to zoom in a little bit. But like he's getting in trouble off the field, and you just can't have that. Like this guy's defending his character, but he still does stuff wrong. And I'm sure now that I'm looking it up, you're not going to see anything. And here's one for the Lions. If I look up off, he just has some character concerns, which really scares me. Character. Here's probably something. So you have somebody defending his character. It's literally the same thing, bro. I don't know. I think his talent, Micah Parsons' talent, is a top 7 talent. But I think his character concerns are going to drop him a bit. And I've already seen some things saying that like some teams just have entirely taken him off the board. Like if he's there, Mr. Irrelevant, if Micah Parsons is there, they're not going to take him. They just don't like his character. They don't like him. Looney Tunes says Tylan Wallace, wide receiver at Oklahoma State. I don't know if you heard of him. I have heard of Tylan Wallace. I think he's a pretty solid guy. I think he's a good wide receiver. He's very good at high pointing the football. He's got a decent catch radius. I wouldn't say he's like a crazy like at separating from what I've seen. I wouldn't say he's like the craziest wide receiver, and he's not obviously not even probably a top 5 in the draft. But I think he's a solid wide receiver. I think we could get there's definitely a pick where he has value. And if we get like the third, fourth round maybe, and Tylan Wallace is there, I think you consider taking him. I do like what I've seen from Tylan Wallace. I think he's very solid, especially considering Oklahoma State wasn't even. I mean, they were good this year, but they weren't like a powerhouse or anything. And obviously, their quarterback is Spencer Sanders, who is a very dynamic, very athletic guy, but isn't necessarily the greatest quarterback. Um, I think he's solid. I like Tyler Wallace a lot. What happened to Chuba Hubbard? Did he opt out this season? Because he was like the big name. Like everybody wanted to see Chuba last year, and he went back to school. And I know obviously he went back to school like way before, this whole COVID thing like happened, which sucks, obviously. What happened to Chuba Hubbard? Imagine if we got Chuba Hubbard in like the late rounds, like that would be wild. Um, Nobody's practicing at the combine. What? Did he opt out this season? I feel like the hype for Chuba Hubbard has gone down so drastically that we could realistically probably get him. Has he declared yet? If we go to running back, Raheem Boyd, I like him more because I saw him on TV. And I'm not saying I just like him. I don't want to draft him, but I he's one of my favorite just because he's from Last Chance U, and I kind of know his backstory, so I kind of like him. Not so much as not so much like I think we should draft him. More so, I like following his story. Travis Etienne is up there. Chuba Hubbard has declared, and just Trey Sermon's declared. That's a cool. I like him too. Puka Williams is an interesting one. Chuba Hubbard fell off so hard though. As much as I hate Lamar, he's still superior to Stafford. Yeah, Chuba has declared. If I go to mock draft, if I just set up mock draft really, really quickly, we'll go be the let's just be the Lions. No, not the Seahawks. Let's go be the Lions. Screw the Seahawks. Barry loves Chuba. I think Chuba Hubbard, like obviously he's not Barry Sanders, but like low key kind of looks like Barry just a little bit. From just the explosive like runner that he can be. I think he's very solid. All right, let's see. I'm just trying to get a sense of like where the draft network has Chuba going. I believe he opted out too this season. I don't mean to skip gears, but I kind of answered it. Yeah, he loves. I keep bouncing my leg. I'm sorry. Barry does. If he likes Chuba Hubbard, I could see why. Only 2 quarterbacks went off the board. Does that mean? Oh, Justin Fields is right there. That's crazy. I went into here to see where they have Chuba ranked because I feel like I have not seen any Chuba Hubbard hype at all. Oh my god, like they got him. What? Excuse me? Did I miss something? Najee, Travis, Javante, Michael, Kenneth, Trey. Oh, he's right here. They have him as the 117th player. They got him as the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They had him as the 7th running back in the class. Like, what is this 117th pick? Was that like the 3rd or 4th round? We'll do a live mock draft right here while we're at it. I'll take Justin Fields at 4. I'll do that. And this isn't what I think is going to happen or what I think should happen. This is just, me goofing around looking at different prospects, different potential scenarios. So, but like, man, if we could get Chuba Hubbard, that'd be nasty, especially in like a late, like 4th, 5th round scenario. I mean, if we got Chuba, if he falls that far, that'll be a fun one, man. That could be real interesting. I remember Chuba was a Heisman candidate at one point last year. Yeah, that's true. He was. He was a Heisman candidate last year. And not even a Heisman contender. Like he was top of the charts when it came to, this guy could win the Heisman. Like he was right up there with the best of. I mean, he was right up there with the Burrows. He was right up there with the. Does he's just get taken? Oh damn. But like he was right up there in the Heisman hype. And at this point, let's see if I can zoom in just a teeny bit, just so you guys can see it a little bit better. Chuba the Hutt. Such a funny. I don't know if you could see that. We'll make it just a teeny bit bigger. There we go. All right. Oh, and something did not work how that was supposed to. Okay, well, let's see. It got all goofed up. What just happened? The whole website just like goofed really badly. All right, there we are. So, I mean, like, you look here, right? I mean, I think Ekenberg is fine. Um, I think Wyatt Davis could be an interesting nod. Who else is there? You got we got an interior. Chris Ballamore is still here in the second round. Obviously, this is just a mock, but you still have okay, not really a whole lot at the edge rusher position. You got a linebacker. You still got Browning. You still have Jabril Cox. Where did Dylan Moses went at 35? So there's always that possibility he could fall. At safety, you still got Javon Holland. I really like Andre Cisco. I really like Paris Ford. If you go wide receiver, you still got Nico. Amon St. Brown, I think, is fine. Here's your guy, Tylan Wallace, Amani Rogers. I believe, well, Cornell Powell's there too. I believe Justin Ross is down here somewhere. But like, if you look at running backs, like they're not going. Like you still got 5 running backs before Chuba. It's crazy now that you pointed out that nobody's talking, right? Like I keep thinking, like going back to Chuba Hubbard, and it's like Chuba Hubbard is a good running back. Obviously, I'm not going to take him in the second round, but like, not that I would take a tight end. I'm just looking around. But like, I think probably your best pick here is probably Chris Belmore. I think that's a solid pickup here. Like the Canadian Cowboy, I know that's what people call him because he's from Canada, but like he's a solid pickup. And if we could get him in the 4th or 5th round, I don't know if this has our new pick in here yet. I don't know if that's factored in just yet, but it's Chuba Hubbard could be a really good steal for somebody because he's so like knocked off the thing. He is from Canada. Lions about to pick a wide receiver in the 1st round. I think that's very possible. I think it's possible that we see that happen. Not that I want it to happen necessarily, but I think it's possible. So what are we? We're at 71. Jabril Cox is still here. I know a lot of people really like him. Andre Cisco is still here. I think he's a shout. You got interior. Josh Myers is okay. You got a running backs. Trey Sermon is still on the board. Like I'd take either of these guys. It's like the Lions have a lot of ways they can go here. Probably not since it's an office trade. Yeah, maybe, but I mean, you got Jarrett Patterson down here at 162. I mean, like, who are you gonna take? Like, you could probably take Jabril, maybe. I guess that probably makes the most sense. Right here you got Jabril Cox as your 3rd round linebacker. Oh, they do have our other pick in here, so you got a 2nd, 3rd round pick. It's like our first real mock draft. You guys can come back to this at some point and see how dumb it is in the future. But like, so now you got your linebacker. You go to safety, you get a guy like Andre Cisco, who is really solid. I would take. I don't think Jamar Chase is gonna be there when the Lions pick at 7. But if he's there, you definitely gotta take a look at him. You look at wide receivers. I don't think I took a wide receiver yet, but you definitely could. Obviously this is before. Obviously this is before like free agency and all of that. Jared Patterson could easily be like Kareem Hunt in terms of him being from the MAC, showing out in the NFL. Yeah, I mean that's possible, right? who's the like this isn't really great range for a wide receiver. You're not going to take a quarterback. You probably don't take an O lineman. I don't think cornerback's as big of a need as they think it is. You look at edge, not a whole lot. You look at interior, that's not a whole lot. I mean, if we're in the fourth round, the 111th pick, and we get Trey Sermon, like that's a fantastic pick. And I know I started this thing talking about Chuba, but like Trey Sermon is a very good running back. I think Chuba just got taken off the board. Yeah, he did. Two of them actually got taken right after. Like it's it's not unthinkable that the Lions get a running back in the fourth round. Um, you go if you were just to filter by all players, if it were to load, we're lagging just a teeny bit, but you know, Hall or I would take Fields at 7. I took Fields at 7 in this one too, though. Like when the draft or when we get to the end of this, like I'll show you like the whole, outcome of all of it. But we and like this is a solid draft. And I didn't go into this like obviously I didn't go into this doing research. I didn't even go into this stream expecting to do a mock draft, but low key, this could be quite the draft. And the wide receiver position is probably going to get filled out majority in free agency. Um, I know you got guys like AJ Green is in free agency. I know Juju's out there. Obviously Kenny's out there. You could try to bring back. I don't know who shot Shakatoni. That's quite a name. Like these wide receivers aren't crazy in the late rounds. But I don't think Cornell Powell is a bad player. I think he's pretty solid. I think Justin Ross is in here somewhere. If I don't know if he's declared yet or not, but I took Fields at 7. Um, let's just see who else is on the board. Where's that Western Michigan kid? He was real solid. Did he go already? I'm trying to go back through the chat because I know Looney Tune mentioned the Western Michigan kid, who I thought was real solid. Let's just see if he's even still available. I can always just look it up, I guess. Is there a thing by school? No. What's his name? Oh, there's a kid. He's from Western. He's really solid. Western Michigan wide receiver. Dwayne Esk. All right, let's see. He's probably right in front of me. Watch. Is he still here? Like, I guess not. What about Ross? Is Justin Ross still on the board? I guess not. Um, Like, I mean, this is a solid class. If you go to all, like, I think Cornell Powell, I think he could be a decent receiver at the next level. You got him right here at 151, ranking wise. So let's just say you take Cornell Powell at 151, just for argument's sake. But like, this is not a bad class. Like, I did not even intend to do this, but I mean, if this were our class, right? If we walked out of the draft with Fields, Belmore, Jabril Cox, Andre Cisco, Trey Sermon, and Cornell Powell, I would be very happy with that class. I love me some Eskridge. I don't know. Is it Eskridge? I think it's Eskridge. Like he's real solid, and I don't know where he went, and I don't know if I'll ever, even find him. I don't know if he's in here. But man, Eskridge is really solid. He's a real good player. He gets real good separation. Eskridge. Like He's not there. Like if I go find a player, it doesn't say when he was taken, but like I don't know. He's really good. I like him a lot. He showed out a ton at the combat or at the Senior Bowl, obviously a couple days ago. Um, but like it's crazy because I don't know. Like I don't know if we have any more picks after this. Anyway, is that six? That might be six. Um, but like you look at that class, right? That is six picks. So that's all we have. But like if like for the rest of you that are here that didn't leave during the mock draft, like would y'all be okay with this class? You have see if I can zoom in just so you can see it a little better. You have Justin Fields. That's gonna be super far zoomed in. That's not what I meant. You have Justin Fields. It's screwed up. Fantastic. It's gonna do this. Let's see. Just I need you to scroll down just slightly. So stop. Uh frustrating. All right. There you go. That's the draft class that we just got. If this were the draft class for the Detroit Lions, would you be mad at it? If we got Justin Fields in the first, Christian Barmore in the second, Jabril Cox in the third, Andre Cisco, Trey Sermon, and Cornell Powell, would you be mad at that? Is that a bad draft class? Because for me, that fills out your quarterback for the future. It gives you a very solid interior defensive line, gives you a solid linebacker, a great safety, a great running back, and a solid wide receiver. Like, that's not at all bad, I don't think. I mean, maybe I'm a little biased towards it because it was mine, but who knows? Eskridge, he could go undrafted for all we know. And we could end up signing him. Yeah, I mean, I think you got to really, really take a look at it, right? I mean, this wide receiver class is this class in general is relatively deep. At your quarterbacks, you have 5 or 6 guys that I think could develop into true starters. At running backs, you have Najee and Travis Etienne and Trey Sermon and Chuba Hubbard and Jared Patterson. Like, those are all solid guys. You got wide receiver that's incredibly deep. Like, it's interesting. I don't think Trey will fall that far, but the class look all right to me. Yeah, but like even if Trey doesn't fall that far, I mean, you got Chuba Hubbard who was still there. You had Jared Patterson who was still there. You still had some real good running backs at that position, and more likely than not, at least one of them is going to be there. I don't hate it, but Barmore should be gone by then. What's good, chat? What's good, Funk? How you doing? Welcome to the stream. Like, obviously that's likely going to change, right? I mean, that's likely not going to happen. Obviously, that was a very early mock draft before free agency, before obviously the pro days, before all the scouting has been done. But and obviously by the time the draft rolls around, the draft board will be incredibly different. But I don't know. I just did a quick mock draft just to see how things would look. But like, I don't know, man. Look, I just read Darius Slay's tweet. Where'd it go? This guy's awesome. Oh, Stafford want to be as far away from Patricia as humanly possible. LMAO. I'm sure this is a fantastic picture. That's so funny that he didn't want to go to New England, or he's like, yeah, you can trade me anywhere you'd like, but if you trade me to New England, I'm gone. Look at that, man. This is New England. This is where Stafford is. Matt Stafford and Matt Patricia used to be here. Patricia moved there. Stafford's like, gone. I am gone. That's a funny tweet from Brett. That's a good one. That's a solid tweet. Oh, here's another mock draft by Andrew, my good buddy, my good friend Andrew. Let's see when this one loads. All righty. So we got Quiddy Pay, which I wouldn't be mad at. I might not like it at 7, but I wouldn't think it's horrible. Yeah, Nick Bolden, who I think is a solid one. Richie Grant, meh. Tyler Shelvin, okay. I don't know who Tutu Atwell is, or Dalen Hayes, but I mean, it's an okay draft. That's not bad. I think mine's better, but that's obviously it's a sick helmet. Oh my god. We got really off track from the Detroit Lions talk. We got like into a mock draft. We got into all kinds of stuff. Let's see. I hope we don't take a wide receiver in the first round. You can low key find them anywhere. Michael Thomas went in the second. I think Brandon Cooks went in like the second or third, and Galladay went in the third too. Yeah, I mean that's not even all of them, right? I mean you got other wide receivers. Antonio Brown went in the fifth. Tyreek Hill, I believe, went in the sixth. You know, you have Mecole Hardman went in the third, I believe, or fourth. You have Marvin Jones went in the fourth. So, I mean, you definitely don't have to take a wide receiver high for them to be successful. That's definitely not in any way what the Lions need to do. Will they take a wide receiver at 7? I think it's possible, even likely potentially now, but I don't think that they have to. I definitely don't think they're at this point, with the whole Matt Stafford trade, they're not locked in anymore to a quarterback at 7. They can now do what they want with the team. They can now take the team in the right direction where they want to go. I say we go defense first round. I don't disagree with that, but if Justin Fields is there at 7, I think you take Justin. I think if one of the big three, if one of the top 3 quarterbacks is there, I think you take one of those big 3 because I genuinely don't think Jared Goff is the answer. And even if you like Jared Goff, if you get one of those quarterbacks, you're going to have a really good quarterback competition. You're going to have quarterbacks that, are going to be fighting for their job, and they're both going to be fighting to be that starting quarterback, and you're going to get the best quarterback. And then, you're going to have, you're going to be in a situation like the Eagles, right? Where you have the best possible starting quarterback for your team, whether that be Wentz or Hurts. And then you have a quarterback that you can trade away and acquire more capital for. Like, especially, and if Goff doesn't work out, then, you will still have that insurance policy. So I think drafting a quarterback in the first round could still very much be on the table. I apologize. That was not good. But like, I think that if one of the big 3s is there, you can take him in the first round because then you have your security blanket. If Goff doesn't work out, then you have your backup plan. If Goff and the other quarterback are competing, you're going to get the best quarterback available, and the quarterback that didn't win that job is still likely going to be a solid quarterback that you can trade away for decent capital. So I think while it's not a bad idea to go defense, and I think you could even make the argument that it's the right option to go defense first round, it all depends who falls to what position for the Detroit Lions. I also wouldn't be mad if we just draft the best player available, no matter the position. Don't forget this team is basically rock bottom. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to draft Najee Harris at like 7, or like I'm not going to draft Najee Harris in the second round probably, but I don't think best player available is necessarily the wrong option. So I mean, yeah, I think best player available is a route they could go as well. To be honest, I don't know many people that like Jared Goff. I mean, I think he's okay. I think he's average. They're saying taking a quarterback isn't completely off the table. I saw that somewhere on Twitter, and I don't think it is. I don't think taking a quarterback is completely off the table because if you get Justin Fields, either he wins the starting quarterback job in camp and you can move on from Goff immediately, or he doesn't win the job in camp. He sits behind Jared Goff. He sits and learns for a couple of years and, takes time to truly develop and get to where he needs to be. And then he steps in an even better quarterback than where he already was when he came out of the class. If you get Wilson, either he wins the job straight up in camp or he sits for a year or two and then he takes over for Goff. You get even Trey Lance, either he wins the job straight up, which I don't think he will, or, he goes and, takes a couple of years and gets ready. Like, I genuinely don't think quarterback is a bad pick right now. And, that was the same case with Matt Stafford where, yeah, Stafford's a little older, but, at the same time, how much longer was Stafford going to be here even if he wasn't traded? He had 2 years left on his contract, Would he have been here after those 2 years? And I think you can make a similar argument for Goff. Yeah, he's younger, but are the Lions going to want to pay that contract for 4 seasons, or are they going to cut him loose after 2? Are they going to cut him loose after 3? If they're going to cut him loose after 2, then you're right back in the same situation you were in with Stafford, where you can draft a quarterback top 7. If you're going to cut him after 3 years, maybe you wait till next year and get a Sam Howell or a Spencer Rattler or a JT Daniels or a Kendon Slovis. Like, depending on how Goff looks in his first year is really going to be telling of how the Lions should move forward with this. And obviously, once the next season starts, it's going to be too late to take a quarterback in this upcoming class. But, if they do take a quarterback in this class, then like I said, you still have that security blanket. You still have likely your future, and you have a guy that is in no need of being rushed and thrown into the fire before he's ready to do so. So, I mean, that's kind of my opinion. I don't think at this point with the Goff trade, I think it gives the Lions a lot more flexibility with the quarterback position, but I don't think it's necessarily it gives the Lions a lot more flexibility, but it also puts the Lions in a situation where if their quarterback falls, they can still very realistically take that quarterback. If their guy falls to number 7 and that they didn't think would, they can absolutely take that guy, whether that be a quarterback, whether that be a wide receiver, a lineman, a linebacker, a cornerback. The Lions can now, with Jared Goff, they can take the best player available without being forced to draft a quarterback simply because Stafford's not there, and simply drafting a quarterback out of the fear that there might not be one in the second round. So that, from that standpoint, the trade works for the Lions' favor even more because now they can still have the ability to take a quarterback top 10, but they're not forced into it anymore, which could even add value to the Lions draft pick if they were willing to trade down with somebody else who is desperate for a quarterback. I would take Chase Waddle. That's some English. I'm just kidding. I think I get what you're saying. Mike says I would take Chase, Waddle, or Smith with Kenny Galladay as wide receiver. I would take that wide receiver core. That would definitely be a solid wide receiver core for sure. My buddy Speakeasy Podcast is in the building. Speakeasy Sports. Sorry you got caught in the debate last night, LMAO. Now that's fine. That's fine. It was getting really late for me. I got stuff to do today. So I just kind of hopped off. I knew I would be back today, getting all this talking in. I knew I would be back today. Getting a nice talk about Matt Stafford. I knew I would get into it a lot tomorrow. So I figured, you and Luke can have that debate. Who won? I have no idea. I left before it was over. I'm sure Speakeasy's going to tell you he won. And I'm sure that Luke is going to tell me that he won. Who actually won? I'll never know. But, don't worry about it. Debates happen. That's what makes our job fun. It wouldn't be fun if everybody agreed on everything. So don't even worry about it. It was fun. It was fun last night. I enjoyed it talking about it. I enjoyed. I met some cool people that like to talk football. So I can't complain too much. They was arguing for 3 hours. I was there for maybe a good 20 minutes. LMAO, Luke ain't ever won. I'm sure Luke will have a different story, but I wasn't there. I didn't get to see the end of it, but I think you both have okay points. Obviously, theoretically, you're right? Picking easier or picking earlier in the draft is obviously going to give you a higher potential, but nothing's guaranteed in the NFL. If Tom Brady was drafted in the 6th round, the greatest player of all time was not drafted in the 1st. So, yes, I think just weighing my point of view in, theoretically, yes, picking higher is better, but at the same time, if your front office can do their jobs right, it's it doesn't matter. If your front office can do your job and they can evaluate talent very well, you're still going to get good players wherever you pick. So it depends. I think it depends on the situation. It depends on the organization. Theoretically, yeah, picking higher should get you a better player, but like I said, nothing's guaranteed in the NFL. So, and that's kind of the thing that I've had this argument brought up to me a couple times. It's talking about mediocre teams. It's like, well, if you're picking at 15, then that's bad because you're just mediocre and you're not bad, so you're not getting a good player, but you're also not winning a Super Bowl. But Frank Ragnow went in the 20th overall pick. You got guys all the time that go mid first round, and a lot of the times they're better than the top picks. So, it I see both sides of the argument, but between me and you, Speakeasy, I side probably more on your side. Although I can personally, Speakeasy, I side more with your side, but I see a couple of the points Luke is getting at. Luke really said he wanted to draft a quarterback in the 7th round. I mean, I don't know what quarterback would be there in the 7th round. Goff is only needed for 2 years. Year 1, you draft a quarterback and sit him. Year 2, Goff backs up Lance, Wilson, or Fields. Year 3, you pay Goff $8 million. Well, after year 3, oh no, after year 2, you pay him. So yeah, if you were to keep him 2 years, you'd pay him $8 million to leave. If you kept him 3 years, you would pay him $2 million to leave. So whatever way you want to go with that. Have you heard of Khalil Herbert for Virginia Tech? I have not. You called me down on the trade writer. I'm glad he came. Hey, I'm glad I showed up, man. I'm glad I showed up. Franchise quarterback is hard to find. I think we have too many pieces missing to try to build around Goff for now. Not super thrilled with this year's draft class of QBs. I like this class. I think this class is really solid. Easy to your point, Manning. And to Luke's point, yeah, I mean, exactly. There are so many counterpoints to each argument. Like theoretically, the idea is right of the draft. You pick higher so you can get the better player to even out to even things out between you and the better teams. However, that doesn't always work. Theory isn't always, applied 100% to what actually happens. Hall of Fame by round says all I need. It wasn't even a debate. I didn't. So the funny thing was, though, last night is like I didn't know what you guys were talking about. I had no idea what debate was going down. Y'all were talking about, we were gonna debate, and then Luke didn't show up, and he's like, oh, we'll debate right now, and I was just like sitting there like, what is happening? I was like, what debate is going to happen? And then that whole thing started, and I knew it was gonna go for quite a while, so I hopped off, but. Speakeasy, I'm glad you won, man. I'm glad that yeah. Luke I love Luke. He's the guy that invited me to the whole DSA thing and really got me kicked off on YouTube. But I mean, he'll argue some weird points sometimes. I mean, he argued that Cameron Dancer was better coming out than Jeff Okudah, which Cameron Dancer was solid this year, but I didn't think he was like incredible. I didn't think he was that much better than Okudah. Like I love Luke and I love him as a YouTuber. I love him as a person. I think he's a very smart person, a very smart football mind, but he sometimes takes some weird viewpoints on arguments. Usually I think it's best to acclimate as many picks I think that's true. I think the top 100 is a better argument than necessarily the first round. But I think the more you can accumulate in the top 100, I think that's fair to say the better. Peyton Manning was better than Brady, so Speakeasy won. I would disagree. I think Tom Brady's better than Manning. Luke is that guy, but he skipped Bayless of Detroit all the time. That's very true. That's very, very true. He's a ski. Like I feel like he is though. Like he is the Skip Bayless of Detroit at times. I feel like that's a very fair comparison. That's a funny one. I didn't think about that, but that's not a bad comparison. I don't like Skip Bayless. He's like him and Colin Cowherd. I just don't like. I can't get behind them. Like, yeah, every once in a while they'll have good takes, but especially Colin Cowherd. Like, yes, like the one. My camera just got like all fuzzy. There it goes. Like he did one about arm talent, and it was like Brady, Wilson, Goff, Breeze, and somebody else, and it was top arm talents for 2020. I was like, there's no way. Like, there's no way Colin Cowherd actually believes Tom Brady has a top 5 arm in the NFL right now. There's no way he believes Drew Brees is a top 5 arm talent in the NFL right now. Like, there's no way. So are we drafting a quarterback? I don't know if we're drafting a quarterback. I think it's possible. I think it's likely, maybe question mark with a likely, but I mean, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. But we just crossed over the 2 hour mark. I'll go with Speakeasy's last comment. Cowherd be wild and sometimes, but I used to like it. I mean, I like some of his takes. I like some of his takes, but sometimes he like picks things out just to pick things out. What do you think about Dylan Gabriel, QB from USC? I don't know. I've heard of him. He was pretty good at I said USC, UCF. He was pretty solid there, I thought. But and he was pretty solid there. So I wouldn't be mad. I don't think he's declared yet, but if he does declare, I think we got to take a solid look. Who do I want at 7? I mean, I think if I could pick anybody to have at 7 right now, I'll take Zach Wilson. Realistically, right? I mean, if I could have anybody, it's like, well, Trevor Lawrence, why don't you just come on down to pick number 7, come on out to Detroit? But I genuinely think Wilson has the highest ceiling out of everybody in the class. I think walking into Detroit, I think Wilson would have a higher floor than Jared Goff on day one, and obviously has a higher ceiling in general. I just think he would be an upgrade at the quarterback position immediately. It would allow the Detroit Lions, it would cost them a lot of cap space, but you could even potentially then think about trading Jared Goff to some desperate football team that needs a quarterback. Then you get more picks for this year or for the future. And then, you eat some salary cap, you eat a lot of dead cap for a year or two, and then you just, then you have a ton of cap space because you have a quarterback on a rookie contract. You have, all the big name quarterback contracts are off your books. In a couple of years, Trey Flowers contracts will be off the books. You'll have a ton of cap space. You'll have a ton of capital in the draft. You'll have a lot of you'll have a lot of room to work with, and then you can go and, obviously build your franchise. One last one. What's the most important position on your football team? I think the trenches are the most important. I don't know if I could say a particular player. But I think the trenches are important because if your players can't block for you, you're not going to do anything, right? Stafford's a great quarterback, but his line for so long couldn't block for him, so we weren't ever successful. Our offensive line for a long time couldn't run block, so we couldn't have a successful or efficient offense. I think the front 7 and I think the trenches are the most important part of a football team. And I think if you're building a football team, you got to build from the trenches out. But that's my opinion. I don't like Gabriel would be worth our 7th. We don't have a 7th, but yeah, I get what you're saying. I think he's, a UDFA flyer kind of quarterback we could bring in, 6th round UDFA. I think it's possible. Any one of the top 4 quarterbacks is available. If not, I don't want the 7th pick. Fair enough. He's still decent in my opinion. All right. Well, we're in 2 hours and 5 minutes, almost 2 hours and 6 minutes at this point. Thank you all so very much for coming out. We had quite a turnout today. I thought it was very fun. I knew we would talk a lot about Stafford today. As I mentioned in the beginning, every time I go on a live stream, something happens. I was streaming today. Stafford was traded yesterday. Last week, I streamed on Sunday, and, the news came out about Stafford, and then John Dorsey news, and then the offensive coordinator. All that came out the week before. Dan Campbell got hired on, early in the week, and so did Holmes. We'll see what happens next week. I'll definitely be coming back with a stream on Sunday. I'll be back a week from today at 1 p.m. as we always do. And, likely something will happen. I don't know if Galladay will get signed. I don't know if, some major blockbuster trade's going to go down again. Something interesting will happen. I can almost guarantee it because I think the Lions watch my channel and they want to give me something fun to talk about. But, thank you all so much for coming out. We're just going to sign off from here. But, thank you all for coming out. I'll have more of an in-depth analysis on the trade tomorrow, most likely. I know I talked a lot about it today, but, tomorrow we'll be doing a lot of research, going over all the draft picks, all the, pros and cons for both sides. So we'll go really in depth with the trade tomorrow. But until then, that's all I got for you guys. Thank you all so much for showing up. Again, I enjoy doing these. I enjoy these live streams so much. So it means a lot that you guys could come out and, take a couple hours to just come talk Lions football. But with all that being said, that's all I got for you guys right now. Thank you all for coming out and watching. And I'll see you all tomorrow going in depth about the Matt Stafford trade. Until then, though, I'll see you guys later.